Welcome back to Shea Butter Chanel channel. Let's get into that lesson 8. And lesson 8, I was wrestling on which one I was going to do first. So we're just going to go with it. We're going to talk about um, speak up. Speak up. Demand. Ask for what you want. And that's pretty much shouldn't be a long one. But this is what I mean. I saw someone post, I'm not sure who originated it, but they said, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you demand. Ooh-wee. And when I reflect on the truth of that phrase, and so I think about times in my life where I have been encouraged to, people been throwing that word demure, be demure. And there's absolutely nothing demure about me, right? I think demure has its place, right? And you don't have to be you can be demanding and not, I don't know, what's another word for it? Because I think demanding, especially for women, even Black women, demanding can be equated to being bitchy, right? She's such a bossy woman. She's such a bitch. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's because people cannot take a woman asking for what she wants, right? You can sometimes do it with class. You can always do it with class, and you can be direct, and for a great many people, and that could be women or men. But if they're not at a place where they can receive from a woman, sometimes that blocks people from being able to receive. So it's always going to be offensive to them. It doesn't matter that you are being kind and tactful. And so, since you have no control over people's perception, you might as well ask for what you want anyway, right? One of the things I'd say in my day job, I always tell my students, apply for everything. Don't you deny yourself, right? And so sometimes they're afraid to just simply put an application in. Like they know they have a need, but they won't ask. They won't ask. I don't know if it's pride or fear of rejection, but ask. I can remember times where in my life where I wish I had negotiated or asked for more money, right? And which is weird because if I'm at a place where I'm being hired or considered for something, obviously they know I'm worth it. I wouldn't have got called into the interview process to begin with. But if we're at the you giving me an offer stage, it's a shame that you even have to negotiate. Damn it, you should be offering me the best that you absolutely can. So even the mind games in that area is so crazy to me. So since we know that people will absolutely lowball you in a contractual situation, an employment situation, you are your best advocate. And I want you to, and I'm preaching to myself because as I am venturing into another business space that I am absolutely not familiar with, but I do have some talent in, it is so tempting to lowball my own self or do it for free when there's so much evidence of how good I am in this one particular area. And so I cannot afford to lowball myself. You can't afford to lowball yourself. So demand these things. There have been times where let's say for example the place where I reside, and there have been things going on in the community where I reside, and certain individuals that reside in the community have been able to go on for a very long time doing certain types of things, and not wanting to rock the boat, you tolerate behavior and you don't want to, upset things or people to think that you're the one disrupting how they like to carry on. But then you listen, we all are paying this, you're paying more rent than them, but yet they are able to do more things than you. And so what I come to realize is that unless I say something about it, then I'm going to be getting the short end of the stick. I'm going to be made to feel uncomfortable where I reside. And who is a better advocate of that than me? Me. I have the right to say something, so I most certainly will. And who knows, sometimes when the kid who is brave enough to raise their hand in class, it takes a lot to raise their hand. And truth be told, they're just as afraid or timid as all the rest of the kids in the class who have the same problem, who have the same issue and the same fear, but they don't raise their hand because they want to mind their business. They want to mind their business and they don't want to walk the vote and they don't want people to look. And I just say, time out for that. Time out for that. Demand, ask, however you want to put it, but ask. I resent the times when I was in romantic relationships or situationships, and I think about it, and I used to be afraid to ask the guy to if he was coming to my home to spend time, and maybe I'm not doing the cooking that evening. I was afraid to ask him to stop at the Wendy's to get me something to eat that night. And because I didn't want to ask too much of him. What must my value of myself or self-esteem must be if I didn't think much of myself to ask the gentleman that was coming over to spend time being comforted in my home, and the one time I decided not to cook, and quite frankly we were most likely going to get into some activity, but because I don't want to seem like I'm a hassle, and I thought it was a hassle to ask him to stop at the restaurant. Like, it's when I think of those things, that's why when I look at the dumb conversation on the interwebs these days, and people are going back and forth about should you go on a coffee date first or not? Should you pay on a first date or not? And I just look at those conversations and I say, you know what? If you want somebody to do the bare minimum for a few hours of your time, then you do that. You do that. But I feel like if someone is trying to make an impression, they won't ask me to meet them for a coffee date, because even when I meet you for a coffee date, I'm gonna fluff up the hair, I'm gonna put on the light beat, I'm gonna look very casually cute. You know what I'm saying? I got to leave my abode, come in person, and all that, so I can. Are you for an $8 latte? Like, that's what. And so because is it about the food? No, but it's about, yeah, why wouldn't a man insist on that? Why wouldn't it be upfront about that? If you can't pay for my little, if we go into a fast casual vegan joint, if you're not willing to front the measly $25 for a fast casual vegan meal, what are we doing here? I saw somebody on, I think, was it it was I saw a clip from Jennifer Hudson's talk show, and one of her staff gave a situation of that nature. I guess she does like a little talk back section off the cuff. And the nice looking young lady talked about how a guy offered to take her to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And she's like, okay, I mean, you wouldn't think Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle was fancy, but she like, listen, I'm not above I like a waffle and a chicken, she said. So she said, I'll give me 2 wings and a buttered waffle. And she says, the check comes and the total is like $40 for everything between them two. And she says, I remain in my lady position, and when I didn't reach for my card, he legit looked at her and said, so aren't you gonna pay your half? And she says, you got to understand, like, this was not a whack date. Like, her phrase was, we were blinking. Blinking is like, we were vibing. Things were good. This is on and popping. I'm already thinking I'd definitely go out with him again. And Buddy was like, where's her half? Where's her 20 on a $40 meal at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? He asked her out. Now, she I guess it's definitely considered old school. If a fella asks you out, I'm assuming that you are paying, right? And so I brought that up because it was the comments that got me, where people were thinking, why would she assume and that he was paying for the date? And that's why I know the move. I know that even if I go out with a guy and we're supposed to reach for my purse to pay that whole little dance or whatever. And I only do it because I like to make it up front that I don't care how much money you spend, you ain't just bought yourself a sexual rendezvous. And so, but I think a lot of women, they might not admit it, but a lot of women are buying into and advocating for the guys not paying, that kind of move, only because they don't want to appear to be gold diggers, or they don't want to. That's like their calling card. They're better than someone like myself, and I just feel like y'all short staffing yourself, because it's a man's nature to work. It's a man's nature to want to um, um, lead. And I think part of leadership is at the bare minimum, pay the 20 on pay the whole $40 bill at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And so I like the fact that the lady, she stood her ground, and her thing was, she didn't she wasn't going to pay. That was not her thing. That's not what she led with, because that wasn't her truth. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I had a fella about an hour ago. He hit me, and he flat out, all he said was, hey, let's go to dinner. And I appreciate the directness, but you know something? I had stuff to do. I got at least 6 voiceover auditions that need to be reported tonight, because they do first thing in the morning. And but also I told him flat out, I said, hey, thanks for the invite, but I don't do last minute, and I got a lot of work tonight. And so I believe in asking for what I want now, even more so. And I'm tired of not being honest about what I require, or not bringing. I don't want, for not fear of appearing to be too much. I just, because I don't think it's too much to be wanting to be treated like a lady, because I'm at the age where I'm gonna let you be in your masculine, as they say. And this isn't, let me be clear, this isn't a video that's about romantic relationships. It really is a concept to consider for life. To always ask for what you want and be direct, and let the chips fall where they may. Don't stop all this pussyfooting around, as they say. I don't know if that was necessarily a very Christian thing to say it like that. I guess my frustration and my flesh overtook me, and I apologize. Father, please forgive me. But I'm going to stop here. I'm not trying to be long-winded for long-winded sake. I hope it land where it need to land. I hope somebody got this on-time message for them. I see y'all on the next one. Demand!